Greetings Space Cadets and welcome back for another Minecraft survival episode. In today's episode we are going to have a tour of the kelp farm and the self-sustaining features that I've put into it. As you can hear from that alarm, it means that the kelp buffer is full and the complete system is now offline. So we're going to knock that off there. Now in the last episode I pointed out that I built a new room, but I didn't go downstairs to show you it. So underneath our main room here in our base, if we slide down, we have a set of storage chests. What happens is when the kelp is smelted, the kelp comes along here. There is a single item sorter at the top here, and everything gets dumped down into this chamber. Each one of these chests is completely full, and each of these is completely full as well, going back up to the item sorter. And there's a little light on here. That light is linked to this hopper back here, just behind this box. When that hopper is full, this light goes on and it stops kelp from being smelted. I'll quickly go and show you where it comes into the system. So you see when that box is full, if we go behind our smelter, see the kelp farm just down there. That signal from the dried kelp storeroom is passed up here, and that locks it here. So even if this is slid across, it won't allow anything through the system. We could just leave that there permanently, because the way this is rigged up, we'll never run out. It'll just perpetually work. At the moment as well, the kelp buffer is completely full, so the kelp is all ready to be passed through to the smelter when the time comes, which is, we're going to simulate that in a few minutes here. Oops. We'll just hop back down here and back up here, and we'll go from the very start of the system where the kelp farm actually is and how everything gets passed through everywhere before we start fiddling with everything to show you how it all works. So if we go down here, this is our kelp farm. You see they've got the flashing disco light here. We have here a manual shutdown, so if we want to turn the farm off ourselves, we can flick that switch and it'll set the alarm off and it'll stop everything from working. At the moment, because the system is locked, because we are completely full, all of these hoppers are, the pistons are locked to prevent any of the kelp from growing. So let's just hop up here. This chamber, there are 6 levels on each side of the chamber, and if you can see there before the effects go, this is 50 long, so it's 50 and then 50 this way, so 100, and each of these has 6 layers, as you can see there just before the water effects. Hang on, we'll get the conduit effects back and see if we can fight past this source block. Yep, so now you can see all the way down there, you can see all the different layers, you can see all the kelp that's in there at the bottom of our chamber. But what happens is, as the kelp is harvested slowly, it all passes up here. I should say as well that I turned the whole system on, and just without any buffers blocking it or turning it off, just when the whole system was empty, just to see what happened. And every single one of these hoppers, everything was completely full. They all looked like this, because of the volume that this produces is absolutely phenomenal. Let's see, how far back does it go now? So here it just goes back, it's the excess filled to this level here after the kelp farm shut off. But let's see what happens here. This all gets harvested. We'll go down to this little hatch here, and here we have a little set here. These are all completely full, and this just is a little buffer for the kelp just to sit in here. This was our system that would flush this chest, that would only allow a certain amount through at a certain time. We've now discovered that it's completely irrelevant, and also there's so much going on that this line wouldn't fire when that got pushed across. So it actually became useless. After I spent all that time building this circuit, it turned out completely useless. But anyway, as the kelp moves down, it comes along here and it will come down here. And the flushing mechanism is a set of hopper mine carts going all the way down to nearly the bottom. Now let's see if we slide down here. Just actually, which level is the entrance on? Before we go any further, I'll just quickly show you. Underneath the kelp farm, this is directly above the separation layer, and this is the locking system. You can hear a spider somewhere, but there is some caves somewhere. I'll chase that down later on. This is behind them, so you see the observer, when the kelp grows, will send something down this line. You can definitely hear a spider somewhere there. Never mind. That would send that signal down there, and it would pop anything within range of that redstone signal. So here, the kelp comes down here. There are 2 hopper chains that lead into here. Now these are all completely full because the buffer is completely full. We have a little delay system here for getting the last one. You see there's a little update here. I've extended, this actually goes all the way up to our tower. Let's have a quick ride of it, just for the sheer fun of it. And there's entrances on the mining layer, so that's our base. If we go a bit higher, that's the base of our tower. And here we are. Ooh, it's night time. So there we go. So you can see everything there in the distance. But let's hop back down there to what we were doing. All the way down. So that's our base of the tower. And we look this way. Oh, that was our base entrance. And there's the entrance on the mining level. And here we are back down. So what happens next is everything gets pushed up. So as it was technically, it was completely irrelevant to build this system so deep, because the buffer system that we've put in now negates needing this mechanism. But still, it means that we have a lot in storage here. I think it was something 70 odd thousand. I don't have the numbers in front of me today. So here we are back at the kelp level, and if we go up again, we can get to the Super Smelter level. So here, this is just some of the other circuitry for other systems within our Super Smelter. And you see at the minute, everything is locked. If we were to put this on and push this hopper back in place, nothing would come through. And we're going to actually turn this all on now as well. So what's going to happen is, once we turn it on, and we're going to take some of our kelp out. Actually, before we even go that far, I'll show you here. If we go underneath here, this just leads back. I've had to do a little bit of rejigging because I needed the space. So what we have here is, this will now extend this way instead of it going sideways originally. And we put some little steps in there just to get around when the system is active. But back here is a single item sorter, and that single item that we are sorting is the dried kelp. So I've got there and here, these are just named blocks, and got 1 dried kelp in there. And the system also keeps 1 dried kelp there just because of the way the timing works. But all the other items will flow into our little space under our base where we looked at the farming yesterday. And these hoppers here go down to that storage room that we were in as well. And if we click on here, this is where it comes up to. So we've got the perfect amount of hoppers in here for our 70 odd thousand. And because that one there is the item sorter one, that can't have anything in it. So this is how far it goes, and I've ran this system from empty twice, and it filled up to this hopper each time. So hopefully that's going to be the perfect limit for our system, just to make sure that we don't go like too much in the system. What we're going to do now is, I think all of these have got, yeah, they've all got, that they should all have enough in, just for the sake of our experiment. So what we're going to do is, we are going to turn on that. Now when we activate that, that extends that piston, which then accepts that, and fingers crossed nothing has passed through yet. Let's just verify that, just in case something has gone screwed up. Nope, there's nothing going through there. Nothing going through there. So at the minute the system is locked, it doesn't want to accept any more kelp, and the furnaces haven't fired up. And what we are going to do is, we are going to take some kelp out of the storeroom. So if we go down here, possibly, right, what we're going to do is, what we're going to take is from the end one here. So I'm going to take a good chunk of that, and then what we'll do is, in order to fire up the system, if I can just click on it, we are going to empty that. Now that's only going to give us a little bit of time. click on the right one. There we go, the light has gone off. Now we have to run because we don't have a lot of time here. So let's hop up here and we should see the smelter fire up. Yes, we got here just in time. So now the smelter is firing up, so it's going to replace these stacks that we took out. We've almost took a full inventory's worth out there. We're going to quickly compress this just while we wait for the rest of the system to catch up. So there we go. So there's a few extra blocks of fuel. And what we should see is if we go down to the kelp farm, we should really remove those extra buffered blocks. Let's see if we can just skirt out here a little bit. So yeah, you see those are starting to flow out there. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take these out just to speed the system along a little bit, just for the sake of our experiment. So under normal circumstances, you would take stuff out and it would slowly drain through the buffer. And if we can just click in there, that there's not enough space. I'll tell you what, we will take a couple out of there. That probably would have been the fastest way to do it anyway. So let's imagine that it's drained off and a few of those. So now you see the kelp farm has now turned back on. And let's see if we can see some kelp starting to float up. So there we go, there's bits of kelp already starting to flow up. So there we go, there's some more coming through. So you can see there's loads of kelp now starting to flow up here, and yeah, there we go, it's really starting to kick off now. So yeah, there's absolutely loads coming back through here, and that will start to replenish. See, at the minute you're not seeing anything in there because it's being passed through the system. So let's I'll tell you what, we'll take these ladders up to the Super Smelter and we'll see how it's getting on up here. So this one here is the ore line. So can we see anything in there? Yep, so we've got some more kelp coming in there. You see these are slowly starting to fill up. Of course this is filling up with the excess from there, but that's how it works. Just head back down there. I put these storage chests in here so I can put these full ones in here as I build them, because I'm going to take all this out and see just how many blocks we actually managed to get, and hopefully there'll be enough with these storage chests that I put in here. But this will fill up again. If I can just click down there. Actually, just to speed up that process of it filling up, let's manually pop a couple in here so that we can see the whole system shutting off. If we can just get in there to the right one. So here we go, the hopper is almost full at the back, so we should see in a moment this light will go on. There we go, so that light is now on, which means that those boxes are just about full. It has enough just to deal with any excess. And then if we come back down here, we should see, if we hop back underneath here, that, yep, this hopper is now relocked, so nothing is going to flow through. And you see there's nothing fresh flowing into the system. You can hear the clicking in the background just as kelp is getting pushed into the system at the back there. There you go, you see all of these now are winding down. I bet this first one's full. Yep, this first one's got loads in. So there we go, that will then turn that off. So it's done a quick burst just to replenish the stock of what's in our kelp storeroom. And let's go and have a quick look and see if the kelp farm itself, has it turned off? Nope, the kelp farm is not turned off yet, so it's still replenishing the kelp in the back. Let's Let's hop down here and see how far this is away from filling. Oh, it's almost full as well, so that means that buffer will then be turned off, so that the buffer will be then, frozen. And every time that we take kelp out to use as fuel or food, this whole process will take place again. So it's completely, self-sustaining. So it goes from the kelp farm. It doesn't keep filling up just so that we don't get any lag or anything like that. It all gets pushed up to the top, and when it's time, it will take a chunk and smelt it and pop it in our storeroom for us to use next time. So this is an absolutely brilliant system here. I hope I've explained how it works properly in amongst all my ramblings. It must be almost ready to be full, is it? Well, there we go. We're on the last. I tell you what, let's just help it along a little bit. There you go. And the alarm goes off, and you can see there's a whole burst of stuff coming through here because all the pistons have been re-extended. So there we go. I think the system is brilliant. As I say, you can actually override it as well if I wanted to manually turn it off. But I think this would probably be a system I'm just going to leave it running. It'll work perfectly. And everything there is slowly filling up. We're going to turn that alarm off just because it's going to drive us nuts. Because technically it will never turn off. Because at least I suppose if something goes wrong. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually go back up to our smelter and make sure the system doesn't come back on. I'm going to block it. I will say one thing, this system does take several hours to process. I'll tell you what, let's just flush anything out of the system just to make sure everything is through. And we're going to turn that link so that it can't smelt anymore. I'm going to go down here and we are going to put everything in blocks. And see just how many we have. There we go, that took absolutely ages. We've emptied now all of these chests. Every one of these hoppers above and behind are now all completely empty. And we have 2 double chests worth of full stacks of the kelp blocks. And also just these couple here left over from the next batch, with 3 dried kelp here as well, just left over from that. So there we go. We are now never going to run out of fuel or food unless they nerf it in another update, which hopefully they won't. So we go from all of those boxes there. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 double chests plus however many hoppers it is, produces 2 double chests of kelp with 4 and a bit left over and 3 dried kelp for the next run. So we go. As we are now never going to run out. This system has been a combination of multiple episodes, so if you want to build something like this for yourself, just hop through the playlist. So you want to build our big super smelter, and there's also the mechanisms underneath that. We want to build the giant kelp farm as well. We just the other day released the episode for that one. We just hop back downstairs. See the alarm's still going there. So yeah, we also did an episode on this one here. It's digging it out is quite time consuming, but if you do it all on the surface somewhere, you wouldn't have to go to some of the insane lengths that I went to. You don't necessarily need well, if you're building it at this size, you don't need the system that's underneath here. You could just simply take the output from here and run it into your super smelter. Just don't forget to put in circuitry Let's see if we just hop back down into the wiring underneath here. So when the box is full, see there, all you need to do to detect a box is full is you have the box, you have a comparator going out of it, and you have a redstone block with a bit of redstone on the end of it, and then of course your repeater to blast the signal out. That's all you need just to detect that the box is full. If you want to put little alarm systems in, this is all you really need for that, just a little chain of these, and I put this little switch here, so let's just now rebuild that. To make this little alarm, it's a case of once this gets powered and pushes that into there, of course that'll power this block, which then sends it up the line to the different flashing lights. But when you have these four here, you can see the timings I put in here just to make this little fast one, and all you do to activate it, and it just runs in the background. Flick that, and that will just continuously go. And when the system is full, of course that block will go back, and this flashing can then no longer send the signal up here. So let's hop back out here. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. As I said, this is an insanely self-sustaining system. I'm going to now let the system run just to refill those boxes again. It takes a few hours for it to fill, but you know, while you're doing other things, it can just be running in the background. So yeah, the system is brilliant. This system, as I said, is brilliant. So I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to rate, comment, favourite and subscribe. Check out all the other episodes that build up to this step by step as we went through. And I'll see you all next time.